We gotta stay awake.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome in to week number 3 here at DMV Rivals Winter 2026. We've got a great game lined up for you guys here today, and I realize my bit isn't gonna work now that I'm looking at studio mode. Unlucky. I was supposed to be joined here by some fellow casters, but instead, no, it's just me. It's always been me. Content quality so low. We're going down into the floor today on a solo cast. You hate to see it, but either way, we're going to have a great game between the Silk Road Shaitans and the 4 Helpless Asians. You play stupid games with your names, you will win stupid prizes. Silk Road Shaitans have lost the coin. Oh, did they coin toss? They haven't coin tossed yet. Looks like Silk Road Shaitans will be on the red side, with the Helpless Asians being on the blue. The Shaitans are sitting at 2-0 and luckily drew a 1-1 team in our Swiss split stage. But we'll see if the 4 Helpless Asians can put something together. Very quality team. We'll see if they'll be able to hand the Silk Road Shaitans their first match loss. As we get on over to the draft, and immediately the Helpless Asians understand the prerogative. There was some trash talking earlier about how much of HopTech's champion pool they want to ban. How much do they want to let Adam Silver get away with? They ban away the Azir. Azir is still an incredibly powerful champion in the right hands, provides you great strength at all points of the game. Meanwhile, on the Shaitan side, they ban away the Lucian from Lil Phil. And we continue to see the mid lane ban stack up, as no Galio either for Mr. HopTech. Has played some other champs throughout the split. He's been a solid Talia player over the years, and we'll see how much that mid lane pool is really going to be pressed for him and Nico. The Pyke is a pick that the 4 Helpless Asians have run a lot throughout this tournament. They've played it in 2 games so far, with Yuta piloting it. To mixed results, but either way, Elise, another kind of aggressive support that they're getting out of the pool. Yuta, a converted jungler, so he is well tuned to that Elise pick and his ability to play aggressive with that. We will see the Asians prioritize the Yunara as their first pick. Of course, a strong champion. Her early game level 1, not as good as it won on release, but still a super powerful champion when you get to the late game, and feels like she was modeled a lot after the pick that the Shaitans respond with in the Zeri. So definitely 2 hyper carry options down there for Lil Phil and a Baby Poppy. With the Aatrox coming in as well, can be a bit of a flex between jungle and top. We have not seen the jungle Aatrox too much. It has mostly been in the hands of the top laners that are more familiar with it. We'll see if Jason the Other is willing to pull out the Darkened Blade. And the Asians just going to elect to go jungle here with Vi. And that has been a pick that people like into Zeri, like into mobile carries. Just very easy to click R, lock them down, and let your team go to town. See if there's going to really be what kind of follow-up the 4 Helpless Asians can muster together here. Probably going to be a support pick. Rounding out the first phase, they probably want some engage to pair with the Vi, but an Enchanter with the Yunara tends to be how she likes to play as well. But instead, we're going to continue to pinch down on that mid pool and take away the Talia, a roaming sport that HopTech has really liked. I don't believe Nico has a game on it yet this tournament. Orianna is up as like the last primo mage along with the Rise. But instead, the Shaitans elect to go with the Lulu, making sure that they have an Enchanter down there with the Zeri. Can also be pretty strong if the enemy is just trying to Vi ult on top of your AD carry. Just polymorph them, you are your carry, and you're good to go from there for the most part. We have not seen Lulu mid in a very long time, but I guess I will technically say it can be flexed. Because Helplessations do have an opportunity to just ban Rise, ban Oriana, and then the Primo Mages are kind of completely off the board for the side of the Shaitans. Looking through the list here, yeah, Hoptech has not played a game on any of the remaining champions. So we'll see what he's able to do against Talia Vi, a combo that teams have liked for quite a while. We do see the support bans in the Nautilus and the Alistar, things that can maybe get on top of the Zeri Lulu in lane and punish them when they're not that strong. And also follow up on the Vi in the later stages of the game. Does mean stuff like Leona is still active, Rakan as well, but Cassante going to be the blind pick for camper on duty. Z has played some interesting champions throughout DMV. He has piloted Olaf, but the Gwen also something that the Helpless Asians have been willing to run on either Luffy Doc in the jungle or Z in the top lane. I realize that died. Yeah, they'll probably have to round out with a Rakan or something versatile in the bot lane, but Thresh is some kind of solid option. That is an insta-lock? That is an insta-lock Echo for the side of the Shaitans. Mr. Hoptech falling back to comfort with the Echo. We don't really see it around too often. Sometimes it's pulled out as a Syndra counter. The Syndra and Rise were available. Surprised they didn't kind of default to a more backline 5v5 style fighting and style comp when you have the Zeri Lulu and you're kind of expecting the Vi, Talia to maybe fall off towards those later stages of the game. And, you know, gives you good CC with the Rise or even just the scatter to make sure the Gwen doesn't get too much going in a fight. Does feel like Helpless Asians have a composition that can make plays on sides with the Talia ult and the Vi ult throughout the mid game. Try to maybe accelerate the Gwen, accelerate the Yunara, depending on how the early game goes. But then, when they enter those 5-on-5 team fights, that Zeri can be an absolute problem. The Cassante can be somewhat of a brick wall, depending on how that laning phase goes. He's not going to really be able to itemize fantastically, given that he has to deal with Gwen early, and then Yunara late. But that's never stopped Cassante from being... 3 dashes, 3 shield. No one knows the copy pasta anymore. It's 1 year old. Does also mean it will be Jason the other on an Aatrox. That top side of Aatrox Echo Cassante does not look too fun to play into Talia Rocks. To play into even like Thresh Flays and Lanterns, letting people reposition in late games. It feels like the Echo is kind of the wild card of what is otherwise a pretty front-to-back style composition. They did lose out on the Ornn in bans, which was one of Camper's favored blind picks. Alongside stuff like Sion. But very curious to see how this Echo is going to pan out because the Talia lane does not sound like it will be exceptional. Yeah, very interesting. I am trying to conduct some research on the current state of the boy who thwarted time, or whatever he may or may not be called. So Echo into Talia straight up is a favored win rate for the Echo in higher MMRs. Not quite what I was expecting across 512 games. So maybe Mr. Adam Silver knows a bit more about what he's doing. Dusk and Dawn is, I guess, an exploitable item on the Echo. So we will see how he can get going on what was a signature pick of his many years ago, the champion not too relevant recently, but not going to stop him from slamming it down and trying to show the power of the pick. We will take a short break for spectator delay because I can only talk and bullshit for so long. Welcome back, everyone, for game number 1 between the Silk Road Shaitans and the 4 Helpless Asians. And, of course, we're going to fight over the bot lane bush. Yuta, unfortunately, misses the hook, so a bit more damage on his end, but no overextension of summoners, just going to be some ward EXP going the way of Lil Phil and Yuta, which will help them a bit when contending for level 2. We will see both junglers start up on the top side and pat down to this, I guess, somewhat volatile lane. Thresh can make plays with the jungler. Lulu and Zeri could try to be aggressive with the double range. But for now, just going to jostle over the waves, and curious to see how that Echo lane pans out in the mid as Optech bringing out one of his more pocketed picks. Does not seem like it will be super good into Talia. Feels like you're going to take a lot of punishment early on and try to look for trades like this with a quick 1-2-3. And Nico actually takes the rough end of that quick one as back in the bot lane, level 2s are hit. Yuta going for the flay. Hook is going to connect, but with the barrier, Habibi Poppy can stand strong and fire back. We're panning back to mid lane as the ignite is dropped. Needs that last auto for some resonance, but he can't get it. It's first blood to Nico. And the Echo pocket pick is going sideways as taking stock of the bot lane as well. Habibi Poppy using both sums. Heal off the Lulu as well. Luffy Doc gonna be a bit happy that he is pathing towards that somewhat vulnerable lane. Of course, Aatrox is as well, so I don't think there's too much for Habibi Poppy and Schmiedlock to worry about. Yeah, definitely not the start the Shaitans were looking for, but very nice stuff from Nico in the mid lane. The Ghost buying him enough space to evade the all-in from the Echo, not let that third auto connect. And all that move speed, phase rush, Ghost, going to be very annoying for Uptech to deal with throughout this laning phase. Aatrox is first onto the crab, but with the lantern into bot lane, there's a play flash from Luffy. Doc Habibi is caught without flash, and he's going to drop to Lil Phil. Now in the mid lane, Nico has no flash either, and they just full commit and get the trade kill back. It will be 1-for-1 across the board, but also a double crab for the Aatrox. So I don't think you're too worried about this. If you're Jason the other, your bot lane happened to die because they fought to the death at that level 2 mark. So it goes. Curious to see how Z does on the Gwen up in the top side, as it has been a pick that he's been solid on and played before in the tournament. Camper has a Cassante game under his belt, but has been more on kind of the more passive tanks throughout this tournament so far with the Orns and the Scions. Cassante has a bit more playmaking as a tank, so we'll see how that pans out. But for now, he is in a bit of a rough spot with this wave. Will eventually push back to him, but don't believe his jungler is going to pay him too much mind. And neither will the enemy jungler, to be fair. As Hoptech goes in for another trade, that ignite almost back up. Almost going to provide some dual threat on that Echo as the hook. Nice little angle. Trying onto Schmiedlock as Echo is actually just going for a roam. Even though he's not on Talia, he's not on Galio. Hoptech is looking for plays. Is just going to put down the Tri-Brush Ward and loop back around. They should know that Vi pathed basically full cleared back down bot, so don't think they want to go for that play when the Vi is around, as Yuta hits it, and Habibi Poppy skates over the wall, leaves his support out, but his support at least has the flash. Now here comes the Aatrox, so Jason Other wants to trade onto Lil Phil, but he gets to the Dark Passage and will be able to escape. Maybe not where Habibi Poppy wanted to take that wall flip. They do lose flash off a Schmiedlock, as the Thresh and Yunara combo working out decently well for the side of the Helpless Asians. Jason does need to kind of stay around so they can pick up this wave, and they're just going to go aggressive. Hook hits onto a B pop, but Schmiedlock has put himself in auto range. He's just going to drop. Now Dark Passage back for Lil Phil again, but the sweet spot hits. The shield comes back up. It's a double for the Yunara, and now with Needlework in the top side, Camper is going to drop. It's Jason now in a 1v3 that he has no hope of winning. He's got level 6. He popped a World Ender to try to keep himself alive, and he's healing a decent bit, but he does still follow the same. Hoptech's here, but so is the Weaver's Wall, and it is disaster after disaster for the side of the Shaitans. Hoptech forced to burn the ult just to get away, but it is a massive win across the rift for the 4 Helpless Asians. And this bot lane is off to a riveting start. Even Z getting that solo kill, starting to proxy out some waves, but may need to be a bit respectful. All Out is still available on Camper on duty. Z does have his flash, as Jason has made his way up here. We'll see if Camper, yeah, he does get a flash. Z able to see that the Aatrox is around thanks to that ward. As Hook actually gets around the minion, and that is bad news for Schmiedlock. The poly onto Lil Phil, the heal is burned, but it is not going to help him too much. The Thresh Yunara continue to dominate in the 2v2. 4-0-1 for Lil Phil. And even on the more hyper carry champions, we see the aggressiveness of Lil Phil and Yuta come out. Even if he's not on something as silly as the Pyke or the Elise, he's getting in there. He's making the fast plays in the early game and setting his team up for success. It is a 2.5 gold lead for the side of the Helpless Asians. And now with level 6s on the bot side, they're going to continue to be aggressive. They keep having Luffy Doc down here as well to provide some assistance, make sure they're covered. Talia Wall is going to be down for a little bit longer, but they can continue to play around the power point, and they're going to just flash flay on in. Schmiedlock without a wild growth, trying to polymorph Lil Phil, and actually the damage from B Poppy is going to let him trade one back, get the shutdown, but he falls in kind. It continues to just be a disaster around the bottom lane for the side of the Shaitans. And as we get to this late game, the team that seemingly wanted to play that more front-to-back team fight with the Zeri and the Enchanter are going to be in a bit of a disadvantage if the Yunara is this fed, completes a Kraken at 9 minutes. To be fair, we did see a Yunara complete a Kraken at 8 minutes and lose yesterday, so everything's on the table for some sort of comeback from the side of the Shaitans. But they are going to have to play pretty passive in the bot lane. They're going to try to make plays in mid. It's actually a good bit of burst with the Hail of Blades from Hoptech. That Ignite is back up, but they get the Ghost out of Nico. Maybe try to force another all-in, try to pop more summoners there, but Talia should be pretty comfortable. And we have a play on bot side. There's the cease and desist. Last playing him over as well, as Schmiedlock continues to just not be having a fun time there on the Lil Yordle. As it seems no matter where they go, Yuta and Lil Phil will be the ones to cash in. 6-1-2 for Lil Phil. Hoptech trying to get aggressive. The Blink will go over the rocks if he can get it, but the space bought by the Phase Rush, the space bought by Nico is very good there. Habibi, he's probably just going to die. He's going to Lightning Crash. Pop the barrier, but it's the Transcension. Not quite enough from Lil Phil. And now Jason, oh, he can't quite find the damage with the Q1 or the W. So Lil Phil and Yuta playing maybe a bit too aggressive, almost get punished, but are able to skirt away. Meanwhile, on the top side, Z has been doing fairly well in this counter matchup that he picked for himself. We knew both junglers were going to prioritize the bot lane, prioritize plays around there, and he's opened up a nice little CS lead for himself. Finished that Rift Maker, going to continue to pressure the Cassante in the sides. You can see the focus from the side of Helpless Asians. They've put down a ton of vision in that bot river to try to make sure Bebop and Shmelock can be safe, but they're just getting completely blasted away in the 2v2, so don't think Vi intervention is really going to let them play with any sort of safety, as there's the hook over the wall, and Shmelock going to be ignited. As the Glitterland slows, he will be able to walk that one out, but another hook comes through. Yuta is locked in the Slurkle. Not able to kill off Shmelock, but Nico is here. Here comes the aggressive Weaver's Wall. Habibi trying to crash some lightning, but the world's just crashing down in the bot lane. Lil Phil continues to stack the cash to make the bread. And Z, even with a 2-level advantage up there in the top lane, more like 1 level, basically full as Camper should at level 10 off of a single minion, but Z may not let him do that. He's going to get aggressive in the wave. Aatrox and Echo might be looking to that bot side. There are some shutdowns to cash in if they can make it happen, but it is a pipe dream at its best. Here comes the box as Jason the Other, without his flash, going to try to spread his wings to get something, and they will claim a hefty shutdown onto Yuta. Hoptech makes his way down here, wants to try to push the envelope with that Chrono Break still available, but they're going to get some good damage onto Lil Phil, but not enough. Hoptech trying to go back in, isn't going to find it, needs some ults to get out, but the cease and desist is wonderful from Luffy Doc. No chance of escape from Mr. Tech. And Mr. the Other is going to try to make this work. Lil Phil, no flash, does have the barrier. And he's just going to try to play for that wave. Habibi trying to lay down some damage. The barrier is not enough. That is a big shutdown for Habibi Poppy. Does mean that Nico is able to push in on that mid wave, deny a lot of CS, even as Z moving down to do a lot of damage to that mid lane tower. And they may just be able to get it. No, wave is going to fade out. Like to see that from Z, transferring his advantage to the mid lane and across the map. As we look for ways to try to give some hope to the Shaitans, there is second dragon on the Rift. Definitely would not advise fighting, given how fed this Unart is, but technically, it's one completed item to Lil Phil, one completed item to a BB Poppy. But Lil Phil will also be playing with that flash. Don't think they want to go anywhere down where this Unara is. Teams are going to try to split here, as we see Echo and Aatrox try to maybe attempt something onto the Gwen, but Z paying the needed respects of his team is absolutely blasting them bot side. Doesn't need to do anything too hasty, can just play safe, give up some farm. No hair off his nose. Did you see that Nico has gone for the Lucidity Boots as his upgraded quest? He is going to be pretty strong here in that mid game with that quest reward. He'll have Ghost up more often to run away from the Echo. He'll have Flash more often to get away from the Echo. But he can't hit that shove to get away from the Echo. But Hoptech doesn't have anywhere near lethal damage right now. Dusk and Dawn is complete on the Echo, which, I mean, I guess lends something to his power this season. It's going to take a bit. It's going to take a good bit here, as not sure how confident the Shaitans are in any fight. And I mean, they don't have great ways to pull the trigger if they find picks in the jungle, if they find people overextended, because you're playing with Lulu, you're playing with Echo, you're playing with Aatrox. Not great ways to necessarily start action off, but they're going to try to do it in the bot side. Zap hits. The Infernal Chains will not bring Nico back as he pops the Ghost. Gets out of that one. And I mean, with Thresh Yunara pushing in mid against the Echo, they'll have first move to basically any play, which means that the Grubs are pretty, or excuse me, the Rift Herald is a pretty easy take for the side of Luffy Doc. Yeah, especially now that we see Yunara get up to that second item, get the tower in mid as well. Should just want to see the Helpless Asians take literally any fight that involves this champion as super far ahead. I don't think there are really plays to be made for the side of the Shaitans. Not many go buttons for them to make plays inside, so feels like it can be a patient game. Wait for the dragon in 3 minutes and just fight when your ADC has a complete item advantage and completely roll them on your way to Soul Point. Needles will be out in the top side, but Camper actually doing pretty well in this trade. Not going to go all out. Wears down the entire bit of the Needles. Now trying to get back in with the RZ. Gets a full snip. It's not enough to kill. Flash is burned on both top laners. Going to be pretty crucial for any upcoming fight. They both do have TP to be able to get down to that dragon, but Z is going to continue to pressure away and whittle down this tower. Kaenic Rooker gives Camper a lot of staying power in these side lanes, whether it's against the Gwen, whether it's against the Taliyah, but that Yunara with the Kraken Slayer and the newly minted Fiend Hunter bolts will be doing quite a bit of work as, oh, Hoptech gets stunned, gonna get Seismic shoved back. Isn't gonna be in too much danger, has the Chrono Break if really needed. The slow from the Time Winder gonna be enough to let him get out. And he's going to try to circle for something. I'm not sure if he saw the Thresh. There are pings in the alcove, as they are suspecting maybe that the Echo is doing something shaky. But he does get away with it. Thresh maybe checking that a bit too late. And it's going to be critical for the side of... Oh, actually, we're going to have a bit of fight here as the Smite is dropped onto Yuta, but Jason the Other needs another round of Darkened Blades, and he will get it. Don't think they can really converge too much. Yuta has Flash. Jason, not especially threatening, even on 2 items just yet. Needs some squishier targets to hit. Needs some AoE sweet spots with World Ender to really be much of a World Ender. Dragon coming up in about 40 seconds. We do have second item available on the Taliyah as well. So a lot of advantages in the item department, or in the gold department, manifesting themselves in that gold. We do see that Big Poppy with some of those shutdowns is able to at least match the completed items on Lil Phil. Full sums are available for both teams. The exception of the top laner flashes, as Hoptech trying to continue to pressure in the sides, but it's not really happening. Hook is there onto Shmeeluk. They're going to flame into the boxes. The little Lulu is in a whole lot of danger. Lightning Crash is used as the next hook goes wide, but that is Zeri ult down. And ult's being trained in top side as well. Camper going to limp away. And without the Zeri ult, without the World Ender, feels like it is a free dragon for the side of the Helpless Asians. And even another tower going their way as well. So a 5k gold. Something happened. Oh. A 5,000 gold lead. A 3-0 dragon lead. Things going fantastically. And hey, the gold lead is in the right places. You've got 2k on the Yunara. You've got 1.5k on the Taliyah. You don't really care that the Vi is down a little bit. She's just going to press R, lock down whoever her team wants so that they can kill her and then kill everyone else. We'll see if Shmeeluk can really provide the needed peel against this team and keep his carries afloat when the Vi is diving in. Absolutely tremendous stuff from Lil Phil and Yuta to put their team in this kind of position this game. And Yuta is someone that has won a couple of DMV rivals, I believe, but did it at the jungle position. Now, he's quote-unquote washed, being forced down to that support role, as we'll hold that thought, as Jason and Hoptech trying to converge onto Z. And a nice combo there from the Echo, but do they have the damage? Infernal Chains is going to be there, but he misses the Q2. Q3 will connect, and the Chrono Break gets Hoptech out to safety. A nice play on sides as Jason the other gets the kill. Hoptech trying to display the power of the Echo. The side lanes feels like the spot that Echo has been pretty solid in, being able to get a lot of move speed, bully down towers, and use the R if things get too sticky. Gonna be a bit difficult when he's down items to the enemy laners, but able to force an advantage there with the help of Jason the other. We do now see 3 items completed on the Yunara, so, I mean, a Baron start would be a tad aggressive, but I think if you're the side of the 4 helpless Asians, you just want to fight anything you want. Any fight is probably a good fight as long as Lil Phil is there. There aren't great tools to just lock him down and move on with your life if you're try to blow him up if you're the side of the Shaitans. We'll see if the side of the 4 helpless Asians can push through that vision line and set up for anything like Talia wall plays by catching out people on sides, because they have that power. They have the ability to try to pop some sums before any big fight. As maybe some aggression over the Raptors. Exactly where you want to see it, as Camper trading out with Z, but the Gwen now with that Rift Maker with the Dawn and Dusk is going to be a bit of a nuisance. Hook, oh, barely whizzes by the Echo. And maybe they can look for Z here as Parallel Convergence doesn't get the stun. They're still looking for the damage. Z has that Shroud, as now Vi's trying to maybe enter. Jason trying to spread his wings, but isn't getting too much. Now here comes the ult onto the back line. Schmiedlock stunned up. He's almost taken down, but the Vi goes too far. It's a shutdown for the Aatrox. There's the hook onto the Echo, and Yuta wants to play for the fight. Hubby Hoppa trying to fire away, but a nice shove from Nico. They may lose the Vi early, but now they're just setting him up for the dominoes of Lil Phil to knock down. It is 4 for 1 in favor of the Shaitans. Or excuse me, in the favor of the helpless Asians, pretty convincingly. As with their 10 kill, Yunara should be easily able to convert into this Baron. Baron does have some hands now that Otacon's been taken off the map. Baron's been given, you know, some ability to fight back a bit better in these early minutes, as you see Yuta getting quite low, but it should be A-okay. No sort of cheeky steal. Will be Baron for all 5 members of the helpless Asians. And I mean, the Gwen is going to be a menace in the sides. The Talia can be pretty obnoxious, not really easily able to converge on her with her E, with her even wall riding capabilities to get away. So we'll see if it's a 1-3-1 from the side of helpless Asians, and if they're willing to give up a chance at Infernal Soul. Yuta is going to face check a bit, gets dragged back by the chains, and now maybe he's just popped. Here comes the ult, though, dropping on a BB Poppy. He's able to flash away for now. They're trying to pump out the damage, but so is Lil Phil. He's going to go Transcendent, and now Z is there with the needles, just evaporating the back line, as Hoptech is going to try to make some magic happen with the Parallel Convergence with any kind of shield, but Nico should be able to just chase him to the ends of the earth. The flash in completes the ace, and it is a wipe. It is an Infernal Soul to the side of the 4 helpless Asians. The Nexus, all but a formality at this point. A 10k gold lead, Infernal Soul on their side. So there's no real threat onto Lil Phil. Meanwhile, Habibi Poppy is spending time flashing, barriering, trying to get whatever he can to stay alive, but then Z gets on top of him, and it's lights out. There's not much more that the composition can offer. Really nice stuff by Z, getting into the fight and just getting tons of targets with that needlework. If I were to lay out a blueprint for how the Silk Road Shaitans could come back in this, it would be to surrender now, conserve your mental, and go into game 2. That is against the rules, unfortunately, so they'll have to maybe find another way. And, I mean, if we're being technical, the Echo can pop the Yunara. Not much defensive allowance in the Yunara build. Maybe when we get a death cap on the Echo, there's an opportunity to one-shot the Yunara. It'll be difficult through Locket, through Redemption. Even the Flay can be kind of annoying for Echo. Yeah, you can maybe get a kidnap from Camper on duty, something miraculous, but it is... We are in miracle territory for the Shaitans. We do see the 4 helpless Asians set up the 1-3-1. They're going to have Gwen maybe join up in the mid as they look to push down the inhibitor. Camper maybe looking for a play. Talia always has the wall to join up pretty quickly. We'll see Camper try to put his MR to work here. But against this Baron up push, Talia just trying to hold him here. Let their team go to work. Curious as to why the Gwen isn't pushing away on bot. It feels like there's no real engage opportunities in the mid, but they're going to go for top as all out hits onto Nico. Now hit up by the Infernal Chains. Has the Zonias to buy a good bit of time, but there is not enough time. There's not enough space. 1k gold shutdown, I believe, went over to the Echo, but that does open up the mid lane. That does let the inhibitor fall. And now the bot lane probably going to be the same fate. Nice hook by Utah onto Schmiedlock, forcing the flash and the lightning crash. As Habibi is trying to fire back, but the Gwen just is not that squishy. The hook is going to connect, and now Habibi's in a whole lot of trouble. He's got a good wild growth. He's going to try to stay alive, but here comes Vi with a cease and desist. Meanwhile, on the back line, Lil Phil is safe and sound, firing away with the power of Transcension. And he's just going to E forward. Does find the double. Extends maybe a bit too far. That is a shutdown for the Echo. Z's going to be able to stand tall against pretty low health bars. And the E is not going to connect and find a miracle play onto the Gwen, but Lil Phil maybe getting a bit too aggressive there. You see everyone trying to pile in on that back line and do something, but it is just not meant to be. Now, Immortal Shield Bow completed for the Yunara, so she can pretty safely do stupid things, get caught, and not care, because she is at 6 items here 30 minutes into the game. We are going to see Yuta push the vision lines up here with the ward line. 30 seconds before the Baron. We'll see if there's any picks that the Echo Cassante can get. But again, it's just very difficult. The Gwen pulling them apart in the side lanes as well. So hook is going to connect. Is that much of a death sentence stone? No, they're going to try to pull the trigger here, though. Good chunk onto Luffy Doc, but he's not that primo of a target. They're not going to full commit as the Gwen is just evaporating the base. Cassante has to recall show as the Baron will be started up. Jason, does he have a Miracle Smite steal in him? Can his team defend the base? Here comes the TP from the Gwen to join back up and make this an even fight. As now Z just going to try to zone them away. Go for the fight, maybe? As they turn off the Baron. Here comes Vi with the Season 6, but she's just going to die. Z, not able to find that second bit of needles. Now Chrono Break back from Optech looking for the burst, but it is not enough. The parallel convergence doesn't come down in time. And the bout of heroism does not work out. It is still going to be Baron. It is still going to be the Helpless Asians in the driver's seat. Yeah, very nice stuff from the Helpless Asians. They had a bit of a rough time against Untitled, even with the Yunara in the hands of Lil Phil. Definitely not the case this time. They have a comp that can really just pull the trigger with their jungler. And we've seen great hooks out of Utah all game. Elder Dragon on the Rift, and I mean, as long as we move forward, prevent any sort of shenanigans from Jason the Other, it is, once again, a formality. Yeah. This should be the death march for the side of the Helpless Asians. Level 20 now on the Gwen. 6 items, almost 7 on the Yunara. And Elder Dragon in tow as well. Lil Phil, as long as he stays safe, you can't lose this fight. There's a hook. There's an Elder Execution. Yuta gets that one. He'll line up a second with the death sentence. And it is an absolute paragraph here for the Thresh. Fantastic stuff from Yuta, from Lil Phil. They close out a dominant Game 1 win here for the Helpless Asians. Yeah, I mean, the mid lane bans really doing a lot there for the side of the Helpless Asians, you know. Hoptech forced onto this Echo pick, didn't opt for the Rise, for the Syndra. A bit of ego there from Mr. Adam Silver. And, I mean, he's not on the Galio, he's not on the Talia. It's something that doesn't really support Habibi Poppy to be the carry. And that's something they've been very successful on throughout DMV Rivals. But this time, just an absolute clinic by Lil Phil and Yuta and the rest of the 4 Helpless Asians. We will take a quick break and be back with game number 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for game number 2 between the Helpless Asians and the Silk Road Shaitans. It was a bout of domination for the side of the Helpless Asians. Lil Phil, Yunara, and Yuta Thresh taking over the game from start to finish. We will see the Helpless Asians run back some of those bans they did in game 1. No Azir, no Galio, and no Varus for Habibi Poppy either. Silk Road Shaitans, pretty confident in their game 1 bans as well, keeping the Lucian Pike, Elise, all these aggressive bot lanes out of the hands of Lil Phil and Yuta. We are in a situation where there is a few Primo Mages left, and the Helpless Asians help themselves to the Lady of Clockwork. Very strong pick. A lot of the remaining junglers like Xin Zhao, Wukong. Very powerful with Orianna. Although Jarvan is up as well. We'll see how much prioritization Shaitans want to try to pick which of those strong junglers they get, or how much they'd prioritize maybe just getting a strong bot lane. They will just go straight into the Ornn. That has been a blind pick that Camper on Duty has liked quite a lot. Hasn't really been punished by tanks. He played against Cho'Gath when he blind picked it. He played against an Anivia when he blind picked Sion. So we'll see if Z wants to carry over what was a very good game 1 into something spicy in the top lane to punish the Ornn. We will see the Shaitans opt for their pick of the power junglers, take the Wukong for Jason the other. Helpless Asians now could elect to show that top counter pick if there's something specific that Z would like to run. Have to imagine they're going to go with a Jarvan for Luffy Doc. But hey, there's Mordekaiser. A bit of a spicy one up there. Can put good pressure on the Ornn as he gets his kind of burn items under him. Another AP top for Z. Oh, yeah. Have to imagine we're going to see a Jarvan here. Yep. And that will be the case from Luffy Doc. Now, what do the Shaitans want in the bot lane? Galio, Talia, Azir, all gone. Those are the champs Hop Tech has played throughout DMV Rivals. Is there a Rise? Is there a Syndra opportunity for him here to just go with a mage into the Orianna? Have to imagine team and he do not want to go with something too spicy like the Echo. And they don't. It'll just be Rise there in the mid lane. Of course, very strong champion once he gets those stacking items under him. Will be buoyed by the Wukong as well. You can just kind of rune prison people up and let Wukong beat them up before you get to your super strong power spikes. Shaitan's going to focus now on the support pool, as do the Helpless Asians. No Nico, no Alistar. We'll see how the side of the Shaitans want to dictate their counter pick here. Habibi Poppy has been one to like counter picking his ADC once he sees the entire comp. Schmid has picked his support second in basically every game they've played except for the last one. And it's amounted to good success with stuff like getting Nico into Braum, getting very abusive Sivir Milio lane into Kog'Maw Braum. So the side of the Shaitans have liked counterpicking around the bot side, but they will lose that Sivir as the Helpless Asians ban that one away. It will be the Corkster for Habibi Poppy down there. 2 very high damage carries for the side of Shaitans, but they do struggle a bit with range. The Orianna zone control of the ball can be very difficult for them to work through. Does give them the Valkyrie to get out of the Cataclysm. So that is something there that Corky's got going for him. As we move to the Helpless Asian side, it's Thomas for the bot lane. Is that going to be paired with a hyper carry like the Jinx? Something that Little Phil has played so far. Tristana going to be the pick for Lilfil. Definitely has that hyperscaling option as she gets her farm, she gets her range up, but bit of an odd combo. Tristana has liked more aggressive engage supports whenever she's in the bot lane. Tom Kench, not one of those, regardless of what you may see him do in the top lane. We'll see what Schmiedlock has. You would like maybe a ranged support to bully the Tom Kench and make him hate his life. They go through some options, but they settle on the Rakan. Does make sense to have some good follow-up for the Wukong, for the Ornn engage. That is going to be very necessary, because as this Tristana gets up in range, as the Orianna gets very strong and you can't walk through the ball, they need some way to snap in and get their carries in position to deal their damage. Should be a good lane down there. Corki, not a slouch from the early laning perspective, because his Gatling gun lets you push the wave very well, trade very well. And Thomas, he just doesn't do a lot. He just doesn't do a lot. Let's be real with ourselves here. The Devour bot is all he's really going to be. It can have some good value against the Wukong, but there's a lot of AoE from the side of the Shaitans when it comes to their engages, when it comes to the Wukong and Ornn trying to get involved. Helpless Asians will have perhaps a power point in that top lane, as the Mordekaiser is the counter pick of choice for Z, so they can maybe play around there and have a more passive bot lane with the Tom Kench Tristana. Don't think that's what you draft Tristana to do. Think a Jinx could have made more sense if their game plan is, hey, we're going to play around Z for this game. We're going to leave you guys with this Tom Kench safe lane. We'll see how Luffy Doc wants to plan this one out. And of course, Orianna, Jarvan, very powerful combo. Get on in there with the Cataclysm, gets in there with the Shockwave. Can make stuff very difficult for the side of the Shaitan's carries, especially that Rise, that if he gets locked in the Cataclysm, the only way out is Flash or Ornn wasting his E to break down that wall. So it could be a very strong and interesting mid 2v2 to try to determine this game. Orianna, Jarvan, and Rise Wukong as they hit various spikes. We will take a short break for Spectator Delay because I can only bullshit for so long once again before getting into game number 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to game number 2 between the 4 Helpless Asians and the Silk Road Shaitans. It starts off the way we've seen many games before, with that early contention over that bot lane. And I mean, the bot lane for Lil Phil and Yuta went incredibly well in that first game. They get the early gank from the Vi and just completely snowballed it from there. We'll see if they're able to do anything similar on a lane that does not feel too aggressive with Thomas Kench, but he has taken grasp, so he intends to get in there and auto these fools down. We will see both top laners, or excuse me, both junglers, starting off on the top side. So they will, once again, be making their way down to that bot lane. We're going to lock in a bit here to see how this one pans out, because the Thomas and Tristana, definitely not what would have expected from Lil Phil and Yuta in this game, especially coming off a game where they played super well. You feel like that's the kind of game that gives you the ego to go for very aggressive, we're just going to fight you 2v2 and not lose kind of lanes. To be fair, Lucian, Pyke banned away, so the Shaitans pretty cognizant of the aggression that Yuta and Lil Phil can bring. And we'll see if Habib, Poppy, and Schmiedlock can bounce back after that rough, really rough first game. Just felt like they could not catch a break, could not deal with that aggression. Both junglers will be wrapping up in a bit here. Jarvan, Wukong, pretty similar in clears. Last time we saw the Aatrox clear ahead of the Vi, leading to a double crab, though his bot lane died. So, I mean, the jungler is going to call that worth and just say you should dodge the gank. We'll see what unfolds here as they both wrap up their final camps. Wave going to get pushed in by the Corki. Some of the keys just don't work. As actually flash in from Z, he's going to lay down the mace, but it's not enough for the kill. Now Schmiedlock gets the W down, knocks up Lil Phil. Actually battle dances twice for some extra shielding. As the junglers have crossed over to the top side, Jason was able to secure the bot crab. Now just trying to be a nuisance over the second. Jason does have his smite, but like definitely don't want to just overextend and invade for a grump when the top lane is going the way it is. We will see Luffy Doc stay out on the map and do his second full clear, whereas Wukong takes his base, picks up some swords before heading out to clear top to bot. If you're Z, I don't think you expect to be punished too hard for a missing flash. They've got that top side of the river lit up with wards and the scuttles, so would be difficult for Jason the Other to find a way in and deal enough damage between a Wukong and a level 5 Ornn. But so far, the wheels have not completely fallen off the coaster for the side of the Shaitans, which is better than we saw last game. We do see Hoptech building up a modest CS lead in the mid lane here on the rise. As definitely has a bit more AC to fight, as here comes the Gatling gun. Lil Phil in a lot of trouble. Exhaust is popped, but the flash is still expended. As now will be Poppy Schmiedlock trying to swing that 2v2 back in their favor after a disappointing game 1. Jarvan will maybe try to pay a visit here. The recall from Habib Poppy does complete. Schmiedlock will battle dance away, and Yuta not going to really be able to chase that one in. As level 6 is there for Z, he's going to lock Camper in the Death Realm, but he can still get under his tower. Still gets enough distance, hits his S key, and moves on with his life. We'll try to build up an item here, because he's just trying to get the MR to stay strong through this lane. Jarvan still has not based. So as we look to this fight, Tristana no flash, Jarvan no items, Rise here first. I'm not going to really think that the 4 helpless Asians should really contend for this one, but that doesn't stop teams from trying anyway. They have a strong top side. They are going to maybe look for something here as Yuta's licking around. Here comes EQ into the pit. Smite is missed, and Yuta is able to steal away the dragon. Nico is very low on the side as Hoptech trying to get the damage done, but the overload doesn't do enough through the command protect. And now maybe he's stranded as there's a flash flag and drag onto the Rise. He's going to try to realm warp himself out of here, and he does succeed. So no blood drawn, but feels like an absolute heist given the game state for the side of the helpless Asians. Jason the other not quite connecting the smite. It's not like unsteeled spellbook shenanigans from the Thomas. Was just straight up a smite down to like 50-ish HP. Really feels like the side of Shaitans let that one get away from them. Felt like they were in a powerful position there for that fight. Weren't able to really take it. They don't have level 6 on the Wukong to really like maybe pull the trigger in the way they would have wanted to, but now we're going to have Abyssal Dive from Yuta. It's not going to really pan out too much. Let's see how his Grasp of the Undying is doing. I thought there was a way to check it. Okay, the camera panned away. We'll never know. We'll check back in later. As Habib, Poppy, and Shmeelok definitely doing better in the side lane than they did last game. And I mean, this Thomas Trist is essentially counterpicked, right? They see the Corki. I guess they don't see Rakan, but Rakan is not really near as punishing of a pick into Thomas as, you know, something like a Zyra or, you know, if you want to get really weird and play Zoe or Hui to really just make the Tahm Kench want to be on a sushi platter. I guess he's a frog. That doesn't really make sense. Roast up his frog legs. Sure. As Yuta does have level 6 and is going to try to get aggressive. Stacking up some passive stacks as he gets the grasp there, I'm sure. And he has the gray health to not really care too much when he is the one getting traded on right now. Imagine there's what is next. No? Okay, we'll check the grasp. 4 grasp stacks from Thomas. You know, compared to the Ornn, who's got 4 as well. So, well, he's putting in good work. As Abyssal Dive to try to get himself away because Hoptech is on the roam. He's still going to be Rune Prisoned on up. The damage needs to still arrive as here comes Jason the other with a Cyclone First Blood. And a Flag and Drag into the ulti isn't good enough. Shockwave only hits onto the Rakama. Shmeelok able to flash away. A double for Hoptech as things are going sideways in the bottom lane for the helpless Asians. Rise is there first to the play. Tahm Kench is in a very weird position to start that one off. Not able to Abyssal Dive out to safety. Jarvan's EQ getting canceled. They don't really hit a high-value Shockwave. Nice stuff from the Shaitans to open up a bit of a lead. Play around where they know they are strong. They don't really want to go up the top side. That Mordekaiser is not really going to give up his lead anytime soon. But still, Jason the other going to be able to sneak away some grubs here. We'll see how many he is able to get. As Luffy is going to cause some interference, but Realm Warp is going to be expended, and Luffy Doc needs to run the other direction. Jason doesn't have CC or a red buff to really lock this guy down, but they're still going for it. The EQ hits, and now Mordekaiser in the picture. Ornhorn is going to just bowl over Luffy Doc. Now in the Death Realm, Hoptech trying to put on some blue suede shoes, but the blue suede man is still going to die. Now there's a knockup from Camper on duty. They want to get the Brittle procced up and going, but the damage isn't there. Jason can't finish the job. And now Flash Brittle Clap is going to be there. Jason now is going to be left to the Wolves. Yuta and Shmeelok both making their way up to the top side. The Catfish asserting his dominance over the bird. The Shaitans really wanted to pull the trigger up there against a, at the time, flashless Jarvan. You don't have Cyclone. It's hard to really extend for these plays. Maybe they think the Ornn is going to be able to contribute first with the Ornhorn. We will have Dragon up in 20 seconds. And Triforce on Wukong, ultimate up. That is a pretty big spike for Jason the other. Feels like they should be favored in any sort of Dragon fight, given the Wukong's state in the game right now. And given that Z will not have his teleport to show that he is the strong point for the side of the helpless Asians. Yeah, let's see how things maybe evolve around this dragon, as maybe we have a mid play from Luffy Doc, but Hoptech paying his respects. He has all his summoners up at this point. So the Rise not going to be too threatened unless there's a lot of stuff thrown his way, and he's even getting aggressive himself. We have seen Lil Phil and Yuta at least assuage what started out as a pretty rough bot lane where they're losing Flash on the Tristana. You know, they're even in CS. Very nice stuff. And they're going to start up the Dragon. I would not go for a Miracle EQ steal if I'm Luffy Doc. It is not worth it. Triforce Wukong is a menace. Don't mess with it. Lil Phil backs. They're not going to contend for this Dragon. It'll be 1-1 apiece. And Jason, we've got to link up on those Wukong Q smites. You know, he could have been 2-0 in Dragons if he had it locked in a bit better. It still looks a bit slippery there for the monkey. We will see Jason slip in. He is detected on that red buff, which means Jarvan will be able to trade it out in top side. So far, the Shaitans slowing the game down, not letting things fall off the rails like they did last game. And maybe they have a play in bot side, but I mean, Tahm Kench has Devour, Tristana has Buster Shot. It is a very difficult play to make, given their full HP. So, like the conservative pick from the side of the Shaitans, you're going to have mid-prior. You're going to be able to get more high... What's the word I'm looking for? More high leverage plays. If you can move the Rise down there, make sure things are weighted in your favor. But now things weighted the wrong way in the mid lane. We pan down to Thomas, who's going to get the Devour off, but the double knock-up, double charm is nice from the side of Schmiedlock. And now Realm Warp gets Hoptech not only out of the tricky situation in mid, but into a promising position in the bot lane. Yuta's going to try to put the thick skin on, and oh, the last overload doesn't connect. Yuta survives. Hoptech will have the Empowered Baron recall to get back to base. Does have Jason the other taking care of his wave in mid as well. It feels like a missed opportunity from the side of the Shaitans. Yuta maybe wanting to force the issue, given that, you know, the Triforce on Habib Puppy had not come in yet. They have Yuta's on the Tristana, but really nice job by Schmiedlock, locking them down for long enough that Baby Poppy did have to burn the flash, but he gets away all the same. Ornhorn is going to be summoned up, but the Death Realm means that the Ram is going to be stuck in Brazil. Jason maybe looking for a play in mid. No flash. There's the Rune Prison, and it is easy as you like for a mid lane play. Nice job, Jason the other. You know, his first game wasn't bad. Maybe some overextensions on the Aatrox, but this game really showing his stuff here, getting advantages for his team in these lanes. Worked up a bit of a gold lead as well. You definitely like your odds as Triforce Wukong into just Sundered Sky, and with the level lead on the Jarvan, so Luffy Doc has to EQ defensively. Unfortunately, as we do not have a finished Kraken Slayer at 8 minutes, it's going to be a bit of a slow burn for this one. Both teams, understandably, confident in their scaling promises with a Tristana, Corki, Rise, Orianna. As we're going to have a Devour onto the Rakan. I don't know how well that Vastayan tastes. He's going to get the charm off. Flash away from Yuta. Cataclysm is up and online, but they don't even need it to get the kill onto Schmiedlock. Optech was maybe looking to get involved in that play, didn't have Realm Warp, but nice bit of defense. You can see that Thomas Kent's just very difficult to punch through straight up. And even with the Wukong there, they're not able to really do anything. So Jason turns to what may be unreliable here in the mid lane. But there is double summoners up on the Orianna. He is spotted as well. So no real opportunity to make stuff happen there. We are going to see that Mordekaiser advantage perhaps translate into a Rift Herald. Although the Tahm Kench is still deploying bot. We're going to have Lilfil jumping in, but that is not the best timing. Optech was there with the Realm Warp. Schmiedlock is there for the cover. And Lilfil burns his flash with negative reward. So, does mean that they'll get a Rift Herald on top side, but you have to feel like they were probably going to get this anyway. Jason is going to poke around. He's actually going to flash in onto Nico. Double Cyclone is going to get popped, and Nico doesn't flash away. He's just going to die. Shockwave was expended, as now Z's making his way over. Schmiedlock here as well. Nice two-man knock, but now the Ornhorn's going to come through. Death Realm onto Schmiedlock for Z to try to get something back. Beat down the bird, but the flash away is brilliant. And now Z has to do the same. Going to try to maybe circle around, get the Blast Plant, get to safety. May get the Rift Herald on the side of the Helpless Asians, but you feel good as the Shaitans for building some good momentum and maybe a kill onto Z. Ooh, able to get away. Had the W shield up and available. This 2-item Mordekaiser is definitely going to be a threat in the side lanes. How much he can really do in a fight where the Rise and Corki are going to be pretty good at kiting him out, to be seen. But there will be Dragon now on the Rift. As we take stock of the items again, it's a 2-item Mordekaiser. He will not be able to TP to this one. Camper on duty can. So we'll see how that affects them. They are deploying the Mordekaiser straight bot. And Ornn is taking his recall. So it does look like they want to fight for this on the side of the Helpless Asians. Schmiedlock going to get an entrance and a nice interrupt with the Charm. Can they shred him all the way? Nope. Thick Skin comes up. Yuta's still going to die. There comes the Charm, nicely interrupting the Flag and Dragon. That is a bit of a... we'll call it a mistake from Luffy Doc to try to fight that one out. The Ornn does TP just to make sure that they have overcommitted on the side of the Shaitans. Make sure that they have numbers no matter what. Seal up the Cloud Drake, go 2-1, and continue to build a lead. Definitely feel nice getting that one done. The Rise has built himself up quite a lead here in the mid lane. And he hasn't even fully stacked his Roa yet. And now Nico could be in trouble. Schmiedlock looking for a slingshot. Nico does just forfeit the tower. We're seeing in this game how the side of the Shaitans have those better abilities to go for fights with the Wukong. They're able to pull the trigger down there on the Catfish. So that they don't have to wait for the enemy team to come into them. They can dictate on their own terms, and it's working out quite well for them. They have tons of engage in this composition. Doesn't mean it can all go according to plan. Of course, the Devour, the Tristana jumping, and Buster Shotting can disrupt those and maybe let the carries on the side of Helpless Asians do their job, but Nico might be in trouble. Ghost popped on both sides, but meanwhile in bot lane, it's Z trying to do something. Not going to do much as Rune Prison slow into the combo. Good champion. As we're going to have a bit of jostling over vision, but no real objective up. It is just going to be a tower pretty much solo taken by Hoptech. Up there. Feels like they were just trying to get to the bot crab to maybe contest for that. Jarvan, not going to be able to do too much, but they're going to maybe look. Like Schmiedlock is doing a good job moving up here, making sure that they shadow wherever this Jarvan is trying to make plays. Maybe we're moving a bit too many folks up here on the side of the Shaitans. Does mean Mordekaiser is back to being isolated, but Horn actually gets the knock because meanwhile on top side, Jason is going to escape. And now Utah might be up the creek without a paddle. He does have the flash. Charm's going to come on down, but yeah, he's gone. That is not an incredibly great Thomas Kench at this point. He just keeps on bleeding the gold. I don't think these are the deals that the River King imagined, as Luffy Doc now caught out on the Cyclone. Flash was just seconds away, and they're picking Baron at 21 minutes. Could be a bit risky. TP is available on Z, and Baron has hands. About 8 of them, in fact. He is pretty difficult to take at 21 minutes. He got some of the Otacon shred, but that doesn't look like it's going to deter the Shaitans right now, as the camera hates me and isn't going where I want it. Either way, Baron is taken. All those hands didn't do much of anything. And slowly but surely, the Shaitans have built themselves a solid lead. They've got the double stacked items available on the rise. They've got the Corky up to 2 items as well with that Infinity Edge. They are pretty powerful and can take whatever fight is thrown at them. Even have Flash on the rise so we can get out of any Cataclysm combos. Thomas, we've been seeing a lot of defensive Abyssal dives, as he probably has to do. Realm Warp going to be used, but Z is there. Hoptech thinks better of taking that pathway to certain death. Because, you know what, let's chill. Let's chill. They do have Dragon up in a minute. There isn't going to be too much side lane pressure created by the Ornn, and Rise is currently grouping with the team. So, feels like the side of the Shaitan's very much prioritizing getting in position for the Dragon, making sure that if there is a fight, they're going to wipe them. They're going to move to Soul Point. Don't have second items available yet on the Orianna or the Tristana. Camper has done a nice job making sure that even though we lost that tower early, even though he's been under a lot of duress by the Mordekaiser, he's able to get up there in levels. He's already been able to upgrade the items on both of his carries. They're in a very strong position for this fight, barring any sort of great Jarvan combo into Shockwave. I mean, Z can't even really enter the fight first when Hoptech is clearing waves with 2 spells. Mid tower to be the focus. Jarvan is lurking on the top for maybe some sort of play, and Z is grouped up as well. Camper's going to Searing Charge his way out. Dragon is going to spawn up, as 5-man strong are the Helpless Asians. Looking for maybe something, but Rise and Wukong already starting up the objective, so it will just be a good bit of push, get that wave teetered out. And Soul Point for the side of the Shaitans. Jason trying to play with the vision, move the line up here, but maybe he's going a bit aggressive as Yuta's looped around behind him. Flash expended by the Wukong. He's got the Blast Plant to get away from the Abyssal Dive. Easy peasy. Although now Hoptech has to contend with this guy, as, I mean, they're trying to get reinforcements down to Mr. Tech. There will be another EQ up eventually. There's the Cataclysm. Hoptech going to just stand and fight. Flash out from Luffy Doc, because he's not the one locking anyone up in the Cataclysm. Hoptech flashing in, able to get the solo kill in the 1v2, and meanwhile, Orianna just blown off the face of the rift. It is nothing doing for the side of the 4 Helpless Asians. The Shaitans let the fight come to them. They get the reinforcements, and they get a 5-0 ace. The towers do have a good bit of reinforcement. We'll see if Schmiedlock knows the tech. He doesn't. We shouldn't be autoing the tower as the support, I don't believe. It doesn't really matter, though, at this point, if we're being honest with ourselves. That extra fortification, not going to amount to too much. It will just be a bot lane inhibitor nonetheless. And now with 3.5 minutes, we hope the game doesn't end, because I need to step away. All right, 1 minute 40 till Dragon Soul is on the Rift. We'll see if the Shaitans even really let it get to that point. They are 11k gold up. Rise is going to be doing deeps. Corky is going to be doing deeps. Ornn had those super minions shepherding in on the bot side. And definitely someone will have to attend to those. Baron on the Rift as well soon, so that should be an easy take for the side of the Shaitans. Just very nice bounce back game from them. You know, we didn't see the bot lane get torn out of the game. Didn't see a solo kill in mid at 3 minutes, so good bounce back game, good mental from the side of the Silk Road Shaitans. On the side of the Helpless Asians, can't help but feel that maybe you wanted Utah and more of a playmaker. The Tahm Kench, incredibly passive. They weren't able to really do much in lane like they did last game. Well, the Mordekaiser got his leads, doesn't really amount to much. And now we've got Ornhorn being called on down. He will not find his way to Brazil as Z goes golden, and he's not even liking his chances in the 1v1 against the GOAT, as Z is going to fall. 3-man Shockwave be damned. Utah caught out on the side. He'll gobble up some monkey. It tastes different from the bird he's been eating all game, but it ends in the same result of a dead frog. And now it's just the 3-man of Nico, Luffy, and Lil Phil to try to defend this one. I'm unsure what secret agent mission Luffy Doc is on, as they're just going to circle Nico. Did not pay attention to the Ornn pushing away in bot, I suppose. So that will be Orianna down. Lil Phil, he was quite strong last game. Don't think he has that same luxury of being able to 1v5 here. So that'll be one tower down. The second soon to follow. Luffy will be able to buffer away, but it is a game to win. The Cataclysm, the Abyssal Dive to try to get something. The Mordekaiser looking to get involved, but Schmiedlock doesn't even die. No one's going to die on the side of Shaitans until the very end as they seal up and send us to a game number 3. Good bounce back from the Silk Road Shaitans, playing that slow burn of a game. They didn't have things go completely wrong from the get-go, and they're able to just slowly work their way through the enemy lineup, get their items on the Rise, get their items on the Corki. We saw Jason the Other make great plays throughout that mid-game on the Wukong. We will take a short break before getting into the deciding game number 3. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for game number 3, the decider between the Silk Road Shaitans trying to stay undefeated here in the Swiss stage and the Helpless Asians trying to hand them their first loss. We are through the first phase of bans because it is the exact same as it was in games 1 and 2, but we get the Jace first from the Shaitans. They have not put Camper on a carry throughout this tournament. I have to imagine that Jace is going jungle for Jason. Has been a very strong jungler since the start of the season. But so is Xin Zhao, and that'll be the pick for Luffy Doc. I am curious to see how both sides attack the mage pool here. Syndra is kind of the only primo mage still available after the Fearless and the bans. But for now, Helpless Asian is going to lock down that top side Mbessa. Not going to get flexing around. Probably going to be up in that top lane for Z. Still a very strong champion. See if they can really pair it with any decent dive buddies, because I think the Shaitans know that they can just stop the dive with something like the Poppy. That's probably going to be in the top E lane for Camper. Has been a pick he's played in past DMVs, I do believe. I'm curious to see what kind of priority they have on that Syndra, and how either side is willing to dip down into maybe less primo picks like the Ahri, like the Aurora, like the Twisted Fate. Regardless of what kind of bans you throw at him, Mr. Tech is very willing to play these supportive, facilitating mids, be the Doin Bingus of his team. And when you've got a carry like Jason the Other on the Jace, definitely opens up the opportunity to play lower DPS in the mid lane. Twisted Fate going to be that option. They also have the ability to maybe pick a more powerful bot lane that he can maybe play around, because don't expect the TF to make too many plays up top. But okay, that is Yuta pulling out the Blitzcrank blind, seeing nothing of what the enemy bot lane could entail. It could entail an Ezreal, it could entail a Morgana, it could entail a Sivir. He does not care. He's throwing down with that Blitzcrank. Not quite what I would have liked, you know. In the past games, the Shaitans have been very content to ban out just Nautilus, Alistar as their 4 or 5 bans. I thought if Helpless Asians were going to go with a support, they would have liked something like the Nautilus, like the Alistar, to pair with their diving Mbessa. We do see them immediately want to take away Blitzcrank counters. So there will be no Morgana shenanigans, as the Shaitans going to try to figure out what kind of picks they do not want to let pair with the Blitzcrank. And to start, it will be that Kaisa. So there are still plenty of options in the bot lane pool. You know, like the Sivir, like the Jinx. We'll see how that's going to pan out. The Sivir is banned away. So immediately, 2 of the things that you know as Blitzcrank you don't want to play into are banned, taken off the board. And I mean, when you're playing with something like the Twisted Fate, could maybe see a mage possibility of a Ziggs. Like, I mean, Cassio's maybe a bit too out there if you haven't played it. Like, I expect the BBS not. And we'll see Silas from the Helpless Asians. I mean, yes, you can steal away Destiny Gate and follow the Twisted Fate. His other rolls don't seem too promising. Does maybe scare away an Alistar from Schmiedlock, maybe scares away a Nico as well. Curious to see what Habibi and Schmiedlock would be expecting here. I think Leona Ezreal would make some sense here. They go with Nautilus. You aren't likely to get a super tank. I mean, Malphite is up and available, so I do think you have to be conscious of that as the Shaitans if you don't go for a mage pick here. And that is somewhat about, can at least do some tank shred, and it'll be Smolder for Habibi Poppy. If you thought the last game was a slow burn, they're going to look to do the same here. It looks like the Twisted Fate does now feel a bit out of place. Neither side lane is really worth playing around. Poppy accelerated doesn't really do anything different than Poppy who isn't accelerated. Smolder accelerated, yeah, he'll stack up faster, but he's never going to really be strong until he hits his stack mark. Does mean that at least late game, if this Smolder gets in a good position, TF can zone people away and control zones with the gold card. But the Draven Blitzcrank is going to be throwing down the gauntlet. Lil, Phil, and Utah, they know that they can just beat, or I don't know about no, but they beat these guys down in that first game, and they are going to look to dominate the lane here with Draven, Blitzcrank. Draven has maybe fallen off a bit in his lane dominant ways. He's ceded a bit to the Kalista, to the Lucian, and he kind of became more of like, hey, I'll R eventually and kill someone, and then we'll spike off of whenever that happens, whether it's a Herald fight, a Dragon fight, whatever. We'll cash in on my stacks then. Does feel like with the Blitzcrank, they want to get that gold, get that Swiss bank account going early for the Draven. So definitely a bit of spice. The Helpless Agents draft does mean they are very melee, very short range. If they cannot pop some targets fast, this Jace can poke them down, this Smolder can poke them down, and Poppy gets to deny a lot of engages. To be fair, ever since the W duration nerf to Poppy, maybe like 3-5 years ago, you have kind of been able to overload the Poppy, where by having so many dashes and so many forms of engage, she cannot possibly stop all of them. So at least having the Sylas, having the Xin Zhao means that, you know, if Poppy goes to block the Ambassador shenanigans, that'll open up the door for Sylas and for Xin Zhao to actually play the game. Maybe set up for their Draven, but it is going to be a very interesting one here as we go into spectator delay and await game number 3. Welcome in, everyone, for game number 3 here in week 3 between the Silk Road Shaitans and the 4 Helpless Asians. It has not been that interesting of a series. Game 1, complete stomp by 4 Helpless Asians on the back of Itsville in Utah. Game number 2, resident sleeper, slow and steady from Silk Road Shaitans. Felt like the Asians never had a chance in that game either. But it's a new day here in game number 3. And the main thing we're going to focus on is going to be the Draven for Lil Phil. According to our resident Draven expert Rexes, and I quote, Draven on 5 here stinks of balls. Well, there's no Syndra in the game, so I'm not sure what you could be referring to as balls. But either way, we'll see how Lil Phil and Utah are able to navigate this. We do have Hail of Blades on Utah. So they really just want to kill these guys over and over on repeat like they did in game number 1. Also see Ignite being taken by Nico in the mid lane against the Unsealed Spellbook of the Twisted Fate because he doesn't make use of any rune well because he doesn't deal damage. We will see Jace get spot out on the bot side. I mean, Jace on the other, he's had a solid showing in this series. Game 1, you know, not much he could do when the map is going that sideways. We have seen the team really excel when Jace the other is on a playmaker, like the Wukong, like the Xin Zhao, like, you know, Malphite, Jarvan. Jace is going to be a bit of a different look. Their one game where he was really on a power farmer that wasn't Gwen was a Lilia game that they lost. So we'll see how he's able to fare on Jace. Nice dredge line from Habibi Poppy. Get some good trades in. Does mean he will lose his Aftershock if any hook comes in. But yeah, Lil Phil. They're going to try to make him the star of the show, you have to imagine, down there. Xin Zhao pathing his way. Xin Zhao definitely likes that he is not finishing on the same side as the Jace. While he can duel him, Jace will probably just double crab him if they end up on the same side of the rift. Up in top side, this is a counter pick from Camper on Duty, but it's not really a fist him down counter pick. It's going to neutralize the Mbessa, lane out solid against that champion. We do see that Hoptech had to burn Flash in the mid lane, and the camera did not want to show it to us. Or I was still locked on Draven. We'll never know. We do see Xin Zhao maybe looping around. I mean, it would be a bit aggressive for him to go for some kind of mid play, even with the flash off of the TF. Has to kind of cover this Draven lane. Has to play for the win condition, because if Draven does not get his money, if he drops his gold on the ground, as we've got a hook come in from the side of the Nautilus, but now here's Hail of Blades onto Schmiedlock. Lil Phil firing away, but the exhaust is dropped. Schmiedlock flashing away. Lil Phil is low. Another auto from Bebop, but the barrier comes back up. Jason the other is here to join in on the play as the snot ball goes wide. Luffy Doc converges back in. Lil Phil can't get the stacks. He's going to die in a 1-for-1 trade. I mean, it's nice that they get first blood on the side of the Helpless Asians. That is the stacks gone for the Draven. That would have been huge if he would have been able to get first blood, get his money, even if it's not too many stacks here at 4 minutes. So while it is first blood, the spot that kill goes onto the Jace for the Shaitans, you feel very good about it. Does mean that there are flashes blown across the rift for Luffy Doc to maybe try to punish, for Yuta to maybe try to punish on this Blitzcrank. And we'll see how well he can crank it, as, I mean, he's able to hit the minion there. At least good precision date something. I mean, we've seen the CS lead open up. It's kind of what we would expect the Draven to kind of get here. At least get those early advantages. Level 6 hit by Hoptech. as Destiny Gate is now going to be up and live eventually for both of them. And you see Nico able to take pretty aggressive trades once the card is down because Twisted Fate doesn't get to do much there. As, oh, here comes Public Execution from Z. Camper's getting very low. Misses the Keeper's Verdict. Needs to get back to that Buckler Shield as Z is just going to wait for another round of abilities. And he'll get the solo kill onto Camper in the counter pick matchup. And with those minions there, I don't think Jason's going to be able to converge and find a return kill. Well, and Jason's actually going to go in for this one. He's got Destiny Gate up from Hoptech as well. Gold card locked in, but he hits the minion. Oh, no, it's a disaster. The Bush play from Z is phenomenal. He will still die in the end as we check to see if Schmiedlock survives, and he does. Hoptech able to do the same. Gold card Gerald not doing his best up there. Jason definitely going to be disappointed with that one. Could have had his first time completion if they could maybe lock down that kill for him. Not the case. As meanwhile, Hook, almost starting from Utah there. As we continue to see a massive CS lead down in the bot side. The smolder from B Poppy, you know, it made sense, right? You didn't want to get completely rolled out of the game. I think I alluded to Malphite, even though Mbessa and Shinzao were already locked in. As now flashing from Utah, the Hook isn't going to do much of anything. And Draven is making bank down here. Schmiedlock now has to run for the hills. Jason is down here and he'll be able to pick up a wave, but things are slowly going south for the Shaitans. We also see that Camper's going for a bit of an aggressive Poppy build with those two long swords in his inventory. Not sure how I feel about that when you're against a very melee comp and the Silas, like, isn't going to really be building to beat you down as the sole magic damage source. Would have liked to see a tank approach from Camper, and I mean, it's what he's been doing for most of this tournament, so sure he has a reason, but that reason isn't looking too good because, I mean, Z is getting the better of him in all of these trades. And, I mean, that first Destiny Gate from the Twisted Fate, not purely positive, and now back in the lane. Nico not able to find the Abduct. Hoptech doesn't really have much to go off. Doesn't have the CDR to really cycle through cards. And now he's going to have to cycle to the Death Chamber. Good flash, good evasion on the Hook, I suppose. As, I mean, they're not going to really be able to punish Lil Phil down here as he is left alone, so perfectly fine from Utah. Like the playmaking abilities that he's now on, you know, not on the Tom Kench. Gonna be more aggressive and able to find picks like he was in game number 1 on the Thresh. Grubs are going to be started up, and I think with how the Mbessa has been looking in these trades, pretty safe for side of the Helpless Asians. Twisted Fate not going to supply too much in the even fights, but they're still going to go for it. Gold card hits onto Shinzao, but now Nico going to take the Abduct on in. Hoptech in a good bit of trouble. Public Execution hits at max range, and now Hoptech's in trouble. Jason trying to blast plant flash away, and he'll succeed. As Camper's going to make his way over, finds a shock into the wall, as the Aftershock is just barely there with the Poppy Q for a return kill. But Z getting very aggressive. The Buckler doesn't matter. Abduct hits, but now he's in tower range. It's traded back again. Now Hook under towers. Lil Phil is going to get the money before dying. That is a successful operation from the Draven. And across the rift, it's looking successful for the side of the Helpless Asians. As Destiny is used and expires. Top Tech just want to get back to lane. The Roa is going to start stacking for him. Nico going for an actual build that doesn't involve stacking, as he'll look to finish that Hex Tech Proto Belt, I believe, on the Silas. So we'll spike a good bit earlier. Hoptech playing for the later stage when he can get that health from the Roa, survive the dive, survive all that the Helpless Asians are going to send at him. But right now they're going to send it at Schmiedlock, who was going for vision at a very inopportune time. The Spider-Man is not going to get him away, and it is more money, more problems for the side of the Shaitans as Draven continues to get fed. Mid laners getting circled by the junglers. mean, while Jason has completed that Yomu's, is a strong Jace here. I mean, he's not on a playmaker. He's not going to be able to dictate how these opportunities go. He's not going to find people out on the Wukong. He's just going to have to watch as another hook connects. And with the static field and the glaives just not going to connect. They're going to come back, though. And Lil Phil continuing to make it hurt. Jason the other, now trying to trade it back, goes to the skies. They're going to just get the Blitzcrank. Dredge line from Schmeelock, but he's not level 6. No cycle of the gold card, and it's going to be a flash away from Lil Phil. Tower damage in mid for Nico. I mean, it's a good job by Silk Road Shaitans to be able to trade that one back, find something in that bot lane play. Optec did give up a good bit to go for that. Twisted Fate can definitely use his spells on the wave to get the push on the Silas, but that maybe opens up to him for a trade, especially now that Proto Belt is available on Silas to get aggressive if he knows where the enemy jungler is. Even if he does, I mean, Jace is not going to really lock him down. So Nico may play super aggressively here. It does still have the Ignite as well, but for now, we'll see Hoptech safely clear away the wave, make sure that he can move first with that Destiny Gate almost back up off of a cooldown. His bot lane, I mean, it is exactly what you would have drawn up for the side of the Helpless Asians. Lil Phil and Yuta doing what they did in game number 1. They're converting it into early dragons, early advantages. And need to keep the train rolling from there because Draven can certainly fall off if he's just left to hit a tank Poppy and without much recourse in that mid game. As I mean, Camper is going for an aggressive build. Nice hook out onto the Nautilus. They just blow him up, but the gold card on the backline, Lil Phil taking a lot of damage from the Shock Blast. Does have barrier. They're not able to get Hoptech down, and now Jason the other looking for another kill. They do find it. Now Nico hits the Abduct, and Silas is ready to get to work. It's an overstay. A bit of a punish from Nico and the Silas, who's now 4-1. They may get the Draven, they may get the Blitzcrank, but Nico able to match that play. You can see the power of the Jace. Those Shock Blasts hit Primo targets. It's going to be looking good for the side of the Shaitans, but now a nice knock under the tower, but it's just not enough. Oh, Z just gets away with a sliver of HP. And this counter pick from Camper, it is not been going well for him. He's been solo killed a couple times, down a handful of waves, and really nice stuff from Z, who, you know, was the power point in game number 1, has been getting lane leads throughout this series, and we've got to pause. I hate it. I can't believe they would do this to me. I mean, I guess it's later for them than it is for me, if we're being real. But it will be a pause as we look to figure what the issue is. Mid is gone. He has Twisted Fate. He is want to do that. But we're seeing the game plan for the side of the Helpless Asians really come to fruition here. Utah on a playmaker, Lil Phil in a position to carry. He's even-ish on items, but he'll hit that IE pretty soon before the next dragon fight, and that will be very difficult for the side of the Shaitans to contest. It is pretty much a level lead for the Mbessa up here in the top lane as well, so it's going to be very tricky for the Shaitans. They have Destiny Gate to try to make side plays and look to catch people out before taking a straight on 5v5, but the 5v5 is really not going to feel good until this Smolder gets going, so that may take much longer than they initially anticipated. Nico even wearing double buffs here in the mid lane, completing his quest, getting those boots under him, and now he can be the one to maybe roam as he plays in Fog here. But we do see Draven and Blitz fade into the river, so Habibi and Schmied will be able to pick up this wave. There isn't too much to fight over as of yet. We could see maybe Yuta get aggressive for some hooks here before the objective spawns, look to pop some summoners, but I mean, it feels like that dragon fight is going to be theirs no matter what. And Jason the other is going to work his way up to the top lane. Nice grounded, but they missed the shock blast. Perfect execution misses as well. And with reinforcements coming up top, Jason and Camper cannot continue the chase. Destiny Gate still available on the Silas, and it wasn't on the TF for just that little window. So the Shaitans need to play pretty cautiously. Herald is going to spawn. Roa's not stacked up. The Destiny Gate is going to be burned by the Silas just for some information as it was timing out. Jason going to have to look to the bottom side of the map for something to trade. That bot jungle was lit up by the side of Helpless Asians. And Habibi's getting maybe a bit too big for his britches as he's going to flash away from the hook, but Luffy docks in on top of him. They want to go for this fight. Yuta able to soak so much up with that static shield, and it's a killing spree for the Silas. Gold card comes in, but the damage just isn't there to respond. Another round of spells means that Nico's going to go in, flashing in for the abduct, finds the kill onto the smolder. Hook doesn't connect. Jason, you see him debating whether to slam down the hammer and give up his life. He thinks better of it. And we continue to see the Helpless Asians build this lead. And Z, when left to his own devices up here on top, is going to continue laying the hurt. We do have Destiny Gate down to the bot side. Lil Phil does not have cleanse. He's going to get exhausted by that spellbook. And Hop Tech going to be able to find that kill. It's been good stuff from the Twisted Fate continuing to facilitate. The issue is just like, you feel like he's not really where you want the gold to go. When he gets that second item, he doesn't really get that much stronger, for being real with ourselves. Just going to be spinning out gold cards, which is useful, but until Habibi Poppy starts to do damage, until Jason the other does damage, and if they're not ahead of their opposition, it's not going to look too great. In fact, they're, at least on the side of the Smolder, pretty behind their opposition. We do see Yomu's opportunity as the build from the Jace. Personally, not a fan of this. It is no CDR. You are throwing out shock blasts every 2 years, it feels like, versus some of the other options. So, but it does mean that one shock blast, if it hits a good target, and to be fair, there's not any super tanks, and almost anyone's a good target. So, if that one shock blast hits, it'll hurt, but would have liked to see a build that enables him to get more rotations and be more poke heavy. We will see just a trade on sides as Jason and Camper going to get to work on the top lane tower. They'll trade it for bot lane tower and the dragon. So it's nice to get some gold on the Jace. I feel like Poppy should leave him to this and let him get solo gold. They will share it all the same. Z was working his way up there, so a good bit of urgency as Z wants to play aggressive. We see the shock blast come on down. The Eclipse Shield soaks some of it up. Destiny Gate is locked away for now and on the bot side, so Jason Poppy need to pay some respects to the 2-item Mbessa here. As we check in on the Dragon practice, we are looking at 122. So halfway there. You know, it's an exponential thing because as he gets more stuff, it's easier to stack, but we're not looking that good pace here for the Smolder, unfortunately. And Z just gonna be patient, wait for his Demolish proc, and then take down this tower before perhaps taking down Camper on duty. As, yep, that tower should fall eventually. Destiny Gate is gonna be used, and Twisted Fate's gonna get up here first. The cease and desist does hit, and now Camper and Optech need to get away because Yuta and Lil Phil are up here. Mom gets some damage down, but they're going to be able to feed over a kill to Lil Phil. The gold card, though, the flash away. It's still a fadeaway shot from Lil Phil, but now he's in trouble. The depth charge connects. The hammer connects as well. And even though it's a tower and a dead Poppy, the Shaitans are able to get 2 kills back. I mean, you know, maybe Rex's was onto something. Maybe this Draven has to play a bit too far forward against this comp. Maybe he is just going to get gold carded on repeat into Shock Blast, into depth charges, because he's going to have to walk up against a pretty rangy composition. So, you know, it started off really well for Lil Phil. He is now 5-5. Still have to imagine a solid gold lead over his opposite number, but not going to be maybe as explosive as it could have been if he held on to some of those stacks in those more recent deaths where they sent a lot of people to kill him. We are going to see Hoptech look to push out this wave. They are pinging to bring people down here. Z does not have flash, and he's going to get aggressive, so this looks like a good read from the Shaitans as they're looking for the kill onto Z. Dredgeline connects. Nicely drawn up there. They take advantage of the aggression. Onto Baron, though, goes the side of the Helpless Asians. It is 20 minutes on the dot. That Baron is going to shred them away, and those shot blasts can really start to hurt. TP in from Hoptech, but a flash in onto Habibi Poppy as Utah is just going to set this one up. Habibi's going to fall. Nico pretty fed on this Silas in his own right. Schmiedlock has worked his way up here. Gold card onto Shinzao, has the ult available as the shock blast goes wide, but they still send it with the engage. Crescent guard goes up, but I think that Shinzao still going down. Depth charge keeps Lil Phil at bay. A very optimistic Baron start off the Embessa death. They do get Habibi Poppy, but I mean, he's not worth too much gold at this point. Dredgeline hits. The tower, though, is still up. Hoptech's going to get another rotation of gold card, but Schmiedlock taking so much damage from the tower. He almost falls. Z is back onto the rift, has public execution available. Just dashing forward, seeing what he can bait out here. We've seen good positive plays from the Shaitans, but they are going to be drawn to a straight-up 5v5 in 1 minute. They don't have second item on Smolder. He may have it in the bank at this point, and doesn't have a good amount of stacks to really be a menace in these fights. It's going to have to be Jason the Other doing unreal damage, and now he might be caught as Utah Hex flashes in. The whirling death is just that. Beautifully played by Utah and the rest of the Helpless Asians. Here comes public execution onto the Dragon's head. He doesn't stand a chance. Destiny Gate to get Nico to maybe help out his top laner, but Schmiedlock and Hoptech aren't doing anywhere near enough damage. It's a kill again for Lil Phil. They play around the fog. They get their man, and there just isn't enough damage to respond. They are going to get some recalls off, so Jason will be back onto the Rift to perhaps contest for this, but again, he is walking in blind. Really just want to shout out Utah on this Blitzcrank. Lies in wait, gets the Hex Flash uppercut. And now it's going to be Mountain Soul, even off the base for the side of the Helpless Asians. 2 Venn diagrams of a blue ward come down as Hoptech does not have Spellbook Smite. Instead has to contend with this Embessa. Jason the Other has a Shock Blast tanked. Mom comes in over the top, a flash in, but no steal. Jason now dead to rights. Gold card is not going to save him. A last-ditch attempt at Mountain Soul, and I mean, the way this game's going, unless we get this Smolder to plenty of items, that Mountain Soul is going to be super useful against a team that's playing with Twisted Fate, playing with Poppy, isn't going to be super DPS-oriented. And now they're going to look to that Baron. Jason the Other is pretty much the main threat that they have to deal with, and they dealt with him right quick on his steal attempt. Baron will be taken away. Mr. Tech at least getting the bot lane tower. Get something back. It is still Mountain Soul. It is still a near 5k gold lead for the side of the Helpless Asians. To be fair, 4k of that lead is in their Draven. If a depth charge gets dropped on his head, if a shock blast gets dropped on his head, Draven's going to be dead in the Coliseum before you know it. Because the Blitzcrank Locket is nice. It probably will not do enough. Still, though, it is 3 items on the Draven. It is going to be very difficult to take a good fight where even after you kill him, this Embessa can be unlocked in these fights as well. Yeah, Mountain Soul just able to soak up those shock blasts so well now, and we still have no CDR. So it will be 1 Shock Blast every 2 years still. Oh, that hook from Utah did a nice job playing with the vision again, but Hoptech able to evade that one. They get 5-man strong in the mid lane for the side of the Silk Road Shaitans, but the Silk Road is looking pretty desolate right now. I think Draven got his caravan in here to take all the gold, as there's a nice hook onto Schmiedlock. He's going to drop. They even steal away the depth charge to add insult to injury. And they will continue to raise the towers to rubble. As Nico is going to maybe look to get aggressive. Not too much doing there. They're going to continue the Baron push and keep up the pressure with the Blitz hook. I mean, just great job from the Helpless Asians in this game. Lil Phil, a newcomer to DMV, playing alongside a stalwart in Utah, who's switching over from the jungle position to play support here and making it work. They've been dominant in lane in game 1. They were dominant in lane in game 3. Now they just need to convert it into that win. So we will check in on Mr. Poppy, as actually he's going to get ulted immediately by the Mbessa, but I mean, Jason the Other and Hoptech are around. Sass is trying to move on down. Flash Goldcard comes out. Bomb over the top. Flash Dredge Line. They are burning a lot to try to get this Mbessa, and they'll get him on, maybe if you want to count it, good onto Hoptech. We'll take it, but as a bunch of gold that the Smolder would have liked to catch up. They get the Mbessa. They invest 2 flashes for it. And meanwhile, the Helpless Asians will be wrecking shop in topside. Let's check in on some dragon practice here. He's almost there. He will have it for an Elder fight, if it comes down to that. Jason the Other is now on 4 items. Lethality does let you complete items pretty fast with how cheap they are. I don't know what Boris is doing to get those in over the tariffs. I guess they don't get hit as hard as the crit items, but good stuff by Boris, you know, making a profit where he can with these lethality items. And Jace technically has as many items as the Draven. Are the Draven's items substantially better? Yes, but we will ignore that to try to build tension and act like this Jace is a big issue when he's throwing out 1 Shock Blast every 1.5 years, now that he's got the Sorelda's Grudge in his inventory. Elder Dragon is going to be the focus here. We will see Schmiedlock and just the other try to face check on in. I mean, the Poppy is not that tanky. Not really able to face check with her, if we're being real. It will be 4 members of the Shaitans taking mid. Mbessa has TP to join. Camper has to be here to make sure they get shepherded in. They're going to pop Destiny Gate. The hook misses, but they're still going to send it onto Utah. The execute isn't even needed. Whirling Death does some good damage. Mbessa TPs into the fight as the abduct does hit, but he's canceled immediately. Shut down on the assassin. Z trying to go in the backline, but he's exhausted. Knocked into the air. Habib Poppy on a stay safe, but doesn't matter. The Mbessa, the Shinzao are just mowing them down. Flash away from Habibi. They get one. Is there a fight to be had? But Z's Mbessa is getting to work. Lil Phil stays alive as well. It is a close fight, all things considered. 2v2 with Elder on the Rift. Twisted Fate TPing back in to the mid lane. Will gold card up Mbessa. Will do a little bit of damage as we miss some wild cards. Lil Phil will be able to heal up with his BT on this red buff. Habibi Poppy now down both summoners for this fight. Wasn't able to really lock in that 3rd item. Does at least have the execute on his side. The Silk Road is definitely not a golden road right now, as I don't think it's going to be an undefeated Swiss for the side of the Silk Road Shaitans. 4 Helpless Asians definitely bringing their A game. And I mean, Nico has done a very nice job on the Silas. Got to plays at good time against Twisted Fate. But now against Elder. On the map, Hoptech is going to look for a super mega rapid fire gold card. There's no flash on Lil Philly. Elected to not take cleanse. Rabadon's finished. So Hoptech is going for popping some damage. As Nico is going to poke around. Shock Blast as leaves some to be desired. Full build on the Jace as he finishes off a Serpent's Fang to cut through these Mountain Soul shields. But they have to cede space. They don't have the mid-wave pushed in. They need to get Hoptech over there. They need to make sure he's safe against any sort of Mbessa convergence. That opens the slot for 4 Helpless Asians to start up the Elder Dragon. Schmiedlock has to have his depth charge locked in for a primo target for that Draven. Destiny Gate goes out just to get some vision back. They can enter into this fight. Shock Blast is nice onto Lil Phil. Won't have much to auto. The Wolves are up, so he is able to lifesteal away the Shock Blast. And I like what 4 Helpless Asians are doing. They're not forcing the issue. They're playing through their mid-wave, reestablishing their vision, making sure that the Shaitans are coming into them. And Smolder took a base for Infinity Edge. Is going to be the start now from the side of the Helpless Asian. Smolder is going to get back out with the Hex Gates. As here comes Mom over the top to get them some vision. Jason throws in a Shock Blast, does so much damage. Half health on Nico. Ejection onto 2, but they can't really force the issue. Schmied doesn't have anything yet as Dragon is down. It's claimed by Jason, and now there's a chance for the Silk Road to be back in business. Gold card hits onto the Silas. They've already taken 2 kills, and Smolder executes a 3rd. The ejection from Camper was critical. He had been beaten down all game. This Mbessa has been initiating some Noxian diplomacy, but the Damacian Yordle gets the key spell, makes it a 3v5, and then Jason the other sweeps in for the Elder Steel. They get the card lock, they get the execute. Lil Phil down for 15 more seconds, same for Luffy Doc. Inhibitor down. Are they going to look for the end? Lil Phil and Luffy Doc are up, but the towers are quickly evaporating. An ult to the backline, but an instant exhaust. The Mbessa may not be taking damage for now, but now Habibi Poppy is flapping his way over the finish line. A brilliant hook onto Lil Phil. The Draven drops his axes. And the Silk Road Shaitans are dropping the finest trade deal. Elder to Nexus. The comeback is complete as the Silk Road Shaitans take it 2-1. Holy ravioli, Batman. Did not think that the Shaitans had it in them to pull that one out. But the poke started hitting from that Jace. And I mean, Camper, it was not a fun game for him. His scoreline definitely reflects that. But when it came down to it, when they needed something to really turn the game in their favor, that 2-man ejection cleared the path to victory. Insane from the Shaitans to keep themselves up at 3-0 in the Swiss stage. We will not be doing an interview because I am gassed and need an inhaler of some kind. So that is going to be it for today. A great start to week 3 as we look ahead to what comes. We do have Tax Collectors versus Mume and Knights Radiant versus Untitled tomorrow, 8 p.m. for both of those games. Tune in to see which one, if any, we end up casting on DMV channels. As you can maybe tell, we don't plan these too far ahead of time. But absolutely, that's going to wrap us up Have a great night, everyone. Don't forget to donate so that we can embezzle, give the funds to the winners in the end. Good night.